One of the primary objectives of the CITT project is to develop an automated, integrated baseline tool which can be used by Tier 1 contractors for aligning their supply chain against low carbon outcomes. So it's a feeling of the project team that so far there's quite a lot of work that happens at kind of client level, design house level. Great work that doesn't necessarily see its way into the contracting sphere. So that makes it very difficult for us to understand where the carbon impacts are and to manage our supply chain accordingly. So the main purpose of the project is really to develop that tool to enable contractors to manage their supply chains. I think it's critically important. It's probably the most important element. So without understanding where your carbon is and at what point in the value chain that carbon is going to come into a project, so who is best placed to get the reductions, chances are you're only ever going to get a reduction by chance. And that's not really going to get us the step change that we need in terms of carbon management in the built environment. So I think it's vitally important. The CITT project has three main partners, so Costain, obviously, the University of Edinburgh Business School are our research partner on the project, and as part of that we're sponsoring a PhD research engineer in greenhouse gas accounting. We'll be doing lots of research in the background. There's 4 other work packages that sit behind the development of the tool so that we can understand how we can develop incentive mechanisms, how we can get over any social barriers that exist to adoption and use of the tool, but also how we can make decisions under conditions of uncertainty. So there's a whole load of work going on in the background that helps the tool be optimised. We partnered up with Skanska following award of the project because Costain worked quite closely with them on a number of big projects and because they seem to be willing to sort of take on that challenge. So they've added a lot more industry knowledge to the game, and we're on a lot of our Costain-Skanska joint venture projects we're actually implementing the tool, understanding what the benefit of it is and working out how to develop it further. There are a number of really large challenges because what we're talking about is a fundamental step change in how contractors and their supply chains engage with carbon and manage it. There are a lot of issues around data, structuring of data sets, coding data so that it aligns between disciplines to enable us to articulate what it is, the challenge to our supply chain. And so I'd say that's the biggest challenge at the moment, is around that data, making sure we're getting it from our supply chain. And so in order to overcome this challenge, what we at Costain are doing is we're getting in our strategic supply chain, we're getting in our suppliers who we have the highest spend with, and we're asking them to help us on the journey by changing the data that they give us so that we can have a very granular insight into exactly what makes up the work packages that they'll be delivering on our projects. So hopefully as we go through that process, that barrier will be overcome and everything will work beautifully. That's the dream. It's a 3-year-long project. One of the key outcomes is to have a tool that's open source and free for everyone to use, that's robust enough for them to use it. So it's very important that we have something that is integrated and automated. So the reason for that is that we want carbon management to become a central feature of how contractors deliver projects and how designers design projects. So that's one outcome from a contractor's perspective, which is crucial. From the research perspective, I think it's really driving the research agenda forward, letting our research team come into industry, get some really great insights in order to drive academia to understand more about what the critical challenges are and to suggest ideas for how we overcome them going forward.